Good afternoon. This video is for the week 4 discussion on the case study of Merck and if it should go ahead and fund a project that would result in a drug that would most likely be unprofitable for the company. And before making any recommendations to our management if we should invest or not in the research of this drug the drug Ivomec, I have to quote our founder George Merck, who once said that we try not to forget that medicine is for the people. It is not for the profits. The profits follow, and if we have remembered that, they have never failed to appear. So this quote is very inspirational to everybody that works at Merck, and it forms our overall philosophy as a corporation. To add to this idea that medicine not being for the profits but for the people, we have Amartya Sen, and then in her Does Business Ethics Makes Economic Sense? She refers to Adam Smith and in his explanations that business should go beyond profit maximization and that humanity, justice, generosity, and public spirit are qualities most useful to others. So she's basically saying that Adam Smith was an actual advocate of the importance of ethics in behavior in general and business behavior. Sen also goes on to say that for a business to be trusted, it needs to establish a high standard of business ethics, especially in the third world where multinationals are seen with some reserve because of their record of abusing its power in such places. She also says that the market mechanism of profit maximization does not work for public goods, which in the case being studied, in which the case being discussed refers to an environment free of yet incurable disease. Then I turn my attention to what Robert Frank wrote in his article, Can Socially Responsible Firms Survive in a Competitive Environment? And the answer to the article's title is most definitely yes. As Frank points out, a social responsible company can be very successful, even though it would incur high costs when it takes the higher road. In our case, it would be to incurring an enormous cost to produce a drug that has the potential to not turn any profits. So the reasons behind why a social responsible company can be successful is because employees are willing to work harder, and even with some reduction in salary for a company that they see it is social responsible. Also, by doing that, a lot of consumers feel that their moral values are being reflected on the company's actions. So these customers are willing to pay a premium price for a product or service that is offered by a social responsible organization. And lastly, a social responsible company might find it easier to recruit quality employers when those employers also have the same high moral standards as the company, and when it's a match on standards, like the employee, the recruiting of that employee might lead to the employee to choose the higher moral company than someone else. Then the last text that I will utilize before making my recommendation is Lynn Payne's text, where she emphasizes the importance of the role that management plays in organization's integrity. Even though sometimes managers tend to view any misconduct by employees as like isolated accidents, most of the times it can actually reflect a lack of commitment of the organization's leaders to its guiding values. In Merck's case, this affirmation by Payne takes us back to what George Merck said about medicine being for the people and not for profits, and that it basically forms our overall corporate philosophy. Payne goes then to explain that an ethical management system can improve a company's competitiveness, increase morale, and help build strong relationships, which in our case could be relationship with the customers, and even with suppliers and governments that are willing to put an effort to distribute the drug. So when I reflect on these three articles, and on what our founder George Merck had in his mind when he founded our organizations, I would urge our executives to finance this research and production of the Ivomec as a drug to be used to treat river blindness. Even though we're most likely not going to make any money with this drug, we have to take George Merck's words that medicine isn't for profits, and that profits will follow at some point, because by being social responsible in this matter, we can advocate to governments and health organizations to help fund the distribution of this drug, so we will incur fewer losses. And also by demonstrating our strong commitment to social and ethical values and putting others' needs in front of our profits, people will surely buy other drugs that we have on the market, which will then bring the profits that we seek, and not by seeking profits in every single drug that we're making. Thank you.